Hey there, welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today I want to talk about the fact that the universe is always working in favor of your abundance. In fact, regardless of what you call the universe, God, higher power, inner being, spiritual guidance, it's all the same thing to me because what I've come to understand in the most straightforward and simplest of terms is that the universe is always working towards the higher goal that you've set for yourself. Sometimes it feels like things are not going right, not going well, and we all provide resistance to where life is trying to take us because we think that the path that we have in our mind is the right way to get to where we're going. Fortunately, our higher guidance, that universal perspective, knows the right way to get us there. I'd like to share a story about career early on in my career and how understanding the law of attraction and how the universe is truly working for me helped change the perspective on what seemed like an unfortunate job situation. At one point in time, I was hired by what I was told was a contract to hire job. I started working the job, and a few months into the job, the lady that worked with me, that was an employee for the company, was walking down the hallway, stopped at my door with another gentleman, pointed to my desk and said, "Hey, that's where you'll be sitting." And, I was confused. I thought, I was going to be hired for the job. There was really no reason for her to be advertising my seat as where this next person might be sitting. So when she came back in an hour later, I said, what was going on there? Are we hiring a second person? Maybe, I thought, we were growing or there was more jobs, more work responsibilities coming. And she said, "No, that's one of the people interviewing for your job." I said, my job, this job, what I'm working right now. And it was a very upsetting and disturbing proposition because I was told that this was a contract to hire. I was not aware that there was a job posting that I actually needed to apply for. It was not communicated and not mentioned. So I'm sitting there and, I ask around and find out I need to apply for the job. So I applied. I was interviewed by the group of people I was already working with, and the feedback from the interview, which essentially was asking me all of the tasks and responsibilities that I was currently doing in that moment, was that I wasn't qualified for the job. And that was one of the most confusing days of my life and upsetting at that time, right? I think I've grown past the emotional state because I understand exactly what happened there. But in that moment, for the next few weeks, I felt miserable. I felt like the universe wasn't working for me. It felt like this job was exactly the money that I wanted to make, the job responsibility. It was for a large, reputable company. And I thought, man, I can really grow here and have a successful career. Unfortunately, that's not what they thought. And that was fine, I guess, because what ultimately happened was this internal fight. And essentially, I had to let go of what I now have come to understand were limiting beliefs. I believed that I needed to work for a large, reputable company to be successful. That's something that, growing up, that my father always did. He worked for a large company, and that was a measure of success. So to me, once I got into that large, possibly internationally sized company, I could work my way up and do anything I wanted because that was the blueprint that I thought I needed to model my life after. Well, I was dramatically wrong because as I let go of that and I painted the vision of the money that I wanted to make, painted a vision of the impact I wanted to have at a company, I started to realize that I was not a right fit for that company. I wasn't underqualified. I was overqualified. I was able to take on responsibilities in areas outside of where I was currently working. I was capable of doing tasks that were just not available for me to do in that role. And I was more of a leader than a follower. And as I started to realize the skill set that I possessed as a person, I started looking in other directions. I created a resume that spoke to who I was as a person, not the jobs I've done as a person. The resume reflected my true skill sets, capabilities, and offerings. At the same time, I randomly opened up Craigslist looking at jobs, and one job was on there that didn't seem like a scam. I mean, let's face it, we've known for a long, long time, certain job posting boards are just not where you're going to find a job. But there was this job that advertised. It almost seemed like it was too good to be true. So hesitantly, I emailed, ended up having a phone conversation with the gentleman. A week later, I had an interview in person right down the block from where I was working. And interestingly enough, they've interviewed quite a few people before me, but thought I was the person for the job. And not only that, the job was making significantly more than I even imagined I would be making. I had just moved into a more expensive living situation, and I was, really worried about affording that living situation. However, the job that I applied for, found randomly on Craigslist, which I've never found one since or one after, turned out to be the exact stepping stone I needed to transition to that next stage of my career. While I was there, I was kind of a leader in my position, hired and grew the department to a few people, ultimately starting offices and technology departments across the country, supporting initiatives and projects. There was a scale of growth that I'd never experienced in life in the 1.5, maybe 2 years I was with that company. I went from someone that understood all areas of technology to someone that was designing and creating security centers connecting with some of the largest banking corporations in America. It was at a time when the financial market was in upheaval, and there was a requirement to take care of some of the financial situations that banks were experiencing and provide resources to help fulfill that role. And as I started to look and perceive what I was actually doing, I realized that I was now working 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of where I would have been if I was with that previous company. It was in that moment that I realized that was all a lesson in how the universe wants you to use the law of attraction. You may be in a situation now, a job, a circumstance, a financial situation that you're not actually enjoying. You may be tied to a job that pays the bills, but makes you miserable every single day. And that's a perspective that once you realize it's only there for you to learn and grow from, you can find the strategies to make it through the job day, because you know that you're being aligned and you're being groomed for something greater and bigger. And I can tell you, the day that I shifted my perspective about that job, the day I stopped feeling stressed at lunch breaks, and instead of eating, I was smoking tobacco. I was going home and having a few drinks before I got on the train to go home, just to get through the day. As soon as I changed that perspective, all of that went away. I quit tobacco. I quit drinking after work. I started going home with a happy, joyous perspective, knowing that something greater was on its way. And just by a chance happening, just by looking somewhere I normally wouldn't look for jobs, I ended up finding the job of my dreams at that point in time. And eventually I did outgrow that career position and moved on to another that was even better and more glorious. But I can tell you with 100% certainty, there were 3 or 4 weeks of just emotional misery that I put myself through unnecessarily. That job opening had been there the entire time I was feeling miserable. They were looking to hire someone but couldn't find the right person. If I changed my emotional perspective sooner, I could have aligned with that job sooner. If I had taken the time to find the joy inside of myself and the appreciation for the skills that I truly had as a person and able to offer that to a company, I would have realized that I was never going to get that at a large company. It seemed like that was the blueprint I thought I had for my life, but in reality, I had asked a long time ago to be a manager, to learn how to control companies, to learn how to better understand budgets, create budgets for companies, hire people, manage people, and grow my skill set to a higher level outside of just working and fixing computers. Well, within 2 years, I was at the point where most of the fixing and most of the computer issues were handed off to other people. So I was free to handle higher level issues across the company. I was brought into trainings where it was explained that this is how a manager thinks and operates. And it was like watching, at times I felt like there was a camera on me and I was looking at myself from the outside in complete awe of where I'd come from and where I was going. And in those experiences, in that time, it was truly a powerful understanding and how the law of attraction really works. So when you're looking at the job, you're looking at your circumstances, just take a step back and ask yourself, does this truly align with the goals that I have set for myself? And if it doesn't, then be thankful that that I have this opportunity to see this is not what I'm seeking. This is not what I'm wanting, but it's also showing you exactly what you do want and how you do want it. In the corporate job world, that large corporate organization, I realized that there was a lot of games being played with salaries, promotions, people getting let go for no reason. And it really didn't make any sense to me, nor did I understand it. People that were at the top of their game, quickly growing up to higher levels within the company, were being let go left and right. And they were just as confused as I was when they were handing me their laptops with tears in their eyes. And I thought, no, that's not going to be me. And sure enough, it wasn't me, because I left that job before my replacement was found. And I didn't look back twice. They asked me to stay longer. I said, no, I cannot stay longer. I'm going somewhere that's in a much better, happier place. So it was interesting, because that was such a learning experience for me. So much so that later on in life, as I was growing my career yet to another level, that same recruiter that found me that job was there to provide a point of attraction resistance, or challenge my beliefs. And I knew the moment that I started talking to her that I needed to stay true to what my belief system was at the time. And I can tell you that every experience that I've had around the career world where I thought I needed to do X, Y, and Z, there was something greater waiting for me that matched and aligned with who I was as a person. So much so that I found difficulty and struggle and pain in every decision I made that wasn't in alignment with that. All of the decisions that were in alignment with the growth and the leadership skills that I wanted to develop were just easy, effortless, and pushed me to grow even further. I hope that this story provided some value for you, so you truly understand the things that you want are an emotional shift away from becoming part of your reality. The things that you've asked for that don't seem like they're coming into fruition are just a slight emotional shift away from where you are today. The only difference between the person that found the job that they wanted and was reacting to not being qualified for the job that they were actually doing was an emotional shift in understanding that I was actually overqualified for the small job I was trying to stick myself into, and truly qualified for so much more in life. Now, I don't know what their version of underqualified is to this day, nor should I ever care or concern myself. All I can tell you is I was not able to fit into the small box that was required to be part of that job, because I had a much bigger space, true floor of existence to go to the next level of my life. There was no small room that could contain what was inside, nor is there a small room that can contain what's inside of you. So take the time, sit down and look at what you're really asking for and what you really want. And don't tell yourself how it has to happen. Allow the universe to show you what is needed from you to make it happen. What is needed from that emotional alignment perspective that will take you to that next level to get you where you want to go. Because I promise there's an emotional shift away from your success. Just one emotional shift. And then maybe there's a second, maybe there's a third, but usually there's a limiting belief that's in the way of what you need to do as a person to get to that next step. So for me, that limiting belief was I needed to work for a large organization. I couldn't go look for another job. Money was hard to make. Finding more money was hard to make. Someone that didn't graduate college was going to struggle to get a job going in a great company they wanted to work for. None of those were true. The only thing that was true was the fact that I had the skills and the talents, and I was trying to stick myself into a smaller box just because I thought that's all I was capable of, when in reality, there was a much higher level, a much higher floor for me to get to on the next stage of the ladder to success. And I can tell you, I have never found a ceiling since that has been real. Every ceiling that has been placed on me have been words, beliefs, limiting beliefs that I've acquired, learned, or picked up from either childhood, other people, other relationships, significant others, and people that just quite frankly aren't a part of my life going forward. Because I truly believe there's no ceiling that you should stare at. There's only the stairs to get you to the next floor so you can look down at where you were before. Not from the perspective of thinking that it's bad, but being thankful that you had the opportunity to learn and grow from a layer that's a little bit lower than where you are today. Trust me, there's a world of success and happiness and joy and abundance waiting for you. Just turn the key in that little emotional shift dial that's going to align with the greatest you that is yet to come. There's a version of yourself that's thanking you today for making the shift that you needed in this moment emotionally to align with that version of you that lives in the future, that's already solved the problems that you're going through, that's already lived through the challenges that you have, that's already grown and become a better, more abundant person, attracting even higher levels of abundance, working on getting on the stairs to climb to the next floor. Because there is no ceiling, just stairs and floors for you to keep going up. Have a wonderful, brilliant, inspired day. Truly hope this message helped you. Subscribe to the channel for more messages and stories about how the law of attraction, how your abundance is truly your birthright, and the universe, God, your inner being, and your spirit are all working to bring that abundance into your life today. Have a great day.